What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I'm excited about this one, so let's just jump right in. So as you can tell from the title of this video, I modded the front side markers for the TL. Now I've seen a few floating on eBay. They glow white and they are side markers that are plug and play for the TL, but you know me, I'm always trying to ball in a budget, and I made some out of scrap parts. I had extra parts that didn't work out that came from the RGB headlight project, and I was able to repurpose and reuse them, though it cost me $0 because I had all the parts lying around. I did modify my OEM side markers, so that is a minus, and if anything goes wrong, that's pretty much it, and I gotta find a new set. They came out really sick. Let me show you guys what they look like. So here's the side that I modded, and look at it. It actually looks like OEM, right? And that's actually what I'm going for. It looks OEM, but let me press the unlock button. Yep. Now on camera it looks a little blue, but in real life it's actually white. Let me click it again. That looks sick, right? Coming around the driver's side, I did not mod this, and this is how it's originally set up. It's amber. It is the OEM one, and it blinks amber. So how did I get this look? I removed the side marker, cut it open, put an LED strip in there, patched it up, and tied it to the right turn signal. But I'll go more in depth after I show you how to remove the side marker. So we're inside the car, and I just wanted to show you guys real quick how it's set up. So on the driver's side is the OEM setup. So if you use the blinker, nothing happens to the side marker. It's only for the turn signal over there. And when you turn on the low beam, then it turns on. So let's check out how the passenger side is running now. Camera's on the passenger side. Now, here's the right blinker. And you should be seeing it blink with the turn signal. Now, the running light, the color should be white. And now with the turn signal, orange or amber, turn it off, goes back to white. I'm excited to show you guys. Let's get to removing it. So, how to get the side marker out? Basically you have to come in here actually. So it's a little difficult to come in here because there is like a splash shield. What I did was I used a flathead to pry it open just a little bit so I could reach in there, and there's two tabs that you have to squeeze and then it will pull out. With that, there is one connector that you have to unclip, and that's pretty much it. Hey, now we're inside, and here is the passenger side marker. Let's check it out real quick. So this is the OEM Honda one, and as you can see right in there, there's two pins for that connector, and that is pretty much it. That's the basic layout. It just lights up amber, and that's it. So this is my spare one that I actually already cut up and experimented with, and here's how it's looking. It's made from Depot. The LED board right there in white, and the LEDs right here, along with two Phillips screws that are holding that board in. But what I did for the mod was put my own LED strip in there, and I reused LED strips during my RGB headlight process, and I did install it in the RGB headlight, but I wasn't 100% happy with the outcome, so that's why I didn't use it. It's already cut up, but I will show how to cut it up. And little LED strips look like this. There's too many out there, and you can pretty much make any combination of LED that you want in here, whether it be like different colors or white or amber. Here's a quick look at the LED strip that I got. It's actually sequential and switchback, which means it goes from white to amber, and it actually goes from here all the way down there, just like a sequential strip that you see in more modern cars. So this is what I used for the RGB headlights that did not work out. So this is an extra piece for me. It's about 20 bucks, give or take, off Amazon. We're basically putting that in here. It might sound wasteful, but you do have to chop up a good amount, so you're using about maybe 1/10 of the whole strip. But I'm okay with that because this is an extra piece lying around that I had, and I'm okay chopping it up because I have no other use for it. Now you can basically use any type of LED strip, because you're only using a few LEDs. This is the extra one that I use on the other side. And because the LED is so short after we cut it, it's not going to show a sequential pattern. It is going to be switchback. So how did I go from this to this? Well, there's a few ways that you can do it. Number one, you can use a Dremel, but because there's not much depth and you have to be precise, I used a soldering iron. This actually heats up the very tip, and it's enough heat and precision that you can use to cut a basically straight line without going too deep and destroying the LED board. So this is why I used a soldering iron versus a Dremel. You can use a Dremel, but I would be really careful not to cut too deep. And if you are doing this to your only spare sets, you might be out of luck if you mess up and anything goes wrong. If you don't plan on using this board or reverting back to stock, you can use that Dremel just to cut off the amount that you need to put the LED strip in there. So you see this part right there? You do not want to cut that clip part off because it is holding the whole side marker to the fender. Same thing with this side. You turn it around. Do not cut past that clip. There is a line right here. That's what I used as a guide right there. And then you just cut basically across. Same thing with the other side. Across. Then you're all set. This is just a housing now. So after cutting it up and putting the LEDs in there, we need a way to patch it up together. And I see a few ways of doing it. You can use some silicone or anything of that sort. But like I said, I used what I had lying around, which is the rubber butyl that I used for headlights and some foil tape. So the rubber butyl actually acts as a sealant and glue, so we can put these back together. Then this is just for added protection. Now that I told you all the steps that I took and supplies that I used, I can finally get to modding. Let's do some work. As you guys saw, I just got done cutting it up, and this is what's going to happen. So you see all the melted plastic, you pretty much just have to peel it off. It does take some force. Like you see this, it's just hanging just to clean it up and we get a nice clean even surface for when we have to put both of them back together. Just took the two screws out, and this is how it's looking. So you see those two little soldering areas? This basically soldered to these pins right here, if you can see right inside. And that's what's pretty much holding that whole board inside. So what I suggest is there is a third hole in there. It's really hard to see. Right there, if you can see it. Find something small enough to fit in there. I think a toothpick will do. And you basically just shove it in there and then keep pushing until this board lifts up. This part is pretty tough because the board is pretty much wedged in there. That's one way I figured it out without damaging the board. You can just take some pliers and just pull at it to get it out, but you might damage the board at the same time, or the LEDs. Don't use toothpick, guys. It didn't work for me. Last time it did, but this one was really tough. So I ended up using these tweezers that came with the soldering kit that I bought. Basically used it just like this and poked it through to have enough lift. This lifted up just a little bit, and I was able to wedge this in there. Basically with a lot of force, just lift it up just like that. If you are using this with the soldering iron, you can depin this, just heat this up, but you still need a way to raise this board up to take it out. So after this, there's too many ways to mount the LEDs, and this is just my way of doing it. If you have a little strip like this, you can fit it in there, and then whichever way you want, like whether you feed the wires through the holes or use these pins to make an OEM setup. It's all up to you. There are a lot of ways that I can see doing this, but this is just my way, where I want to use these LEDs with this diffuser along with the rubber butyl and foil tape. That's going to be my setup. So I'll just measure it up just like this, then cut it accordingly. So I am wasting a whole bunch, but like I said, I'm not really using this strip. The strip is a little unreliable from the reviews, but it works. I can't have it where it's just one color LED, whether it be amber or white. I just have to wire it accordingly, but I do want it to be a switchback setup. This does have a little module that makes it a switchback, so this was why I'm using it. So looking at the LED strip, I do have to be careful where I cut it. I can't just cut it anywhere where I see fit. There are indicator lines where you can cut it. So I think I'm going to cut it here. It is a little longer, so I do have to be careful when I reinsert it into the side marker OEM area. Here's how it's looking, guys. All complete. Got the foil tape around. You can pretty much go ham with it. Not too thick though. This is a little awkward just because of how the strip that I'm using works. Like I said, it's a little jank mod, but it does work, and I'm not trusting that this LED will be long lasting. If that does ever happen, I'm going to find a better solution for the LED to make it a more permanent or OEM solution where it's plug and play. But this works for now. I'm pretty happy with how it looks, and it does work. So like I said, this is a pretty jank setup, but if you are using smaller LEDs that fit in here, I suggest doing what I explained before, just basically putting the strip in and then patching these two together to make it more of an OEM setup where you can just connect it, or the wires will come out this way and then you can tap it in just like that. But this is my setup. I'm going to keep this just in case. I can easily just patch it up back together, connect it, and it will still be an original OEM setup. So let's go outside and I'll show you how I install these. I'm outside, I already tested everything out to make sure the wiring is all good, and I'll explain it right now. And I did want to show what happens when you don't wire it correctly. It still works, but check it out. We'll go inside the car, press the emergency lights, and check it out. It works just like a side turn signal. But now let me turn on the running lights. And check it out now. It's amber. What happened to the white? Well, you got to make sure all the wiring is correct. So using the pins from the sequential LED setup, you can just test it out and just insert it right where the pins are. So black is ground. Usually these two are power, the yellow and red. But this is what happens when you wire it a certain way. It becomes amber, and when you blink, it still blinks amber. But we don't want that. We want the white. We have to switch the powers. This red wire will go red wire right here, and the yellow one is for the switchback sequentials. Let's switch it up and I'll show you guys. It's going to turn white now. We got the ground normal, the red is connected to the red now, and we got that yellow for the switchback sequential, which is connected to the turn signal, and now it lights up white. So a few things to know about the side marker. I did switch it up just a little bit. So before, it was hanging out on both sides. I tried to install it and it was really tough, so I had to actually just take it out, move this whole strip a little bit so this side sits flush now. So I tested it out and it does fit nice and snug. Also, one thing to note is you'll actually have a really hard time installing it if this part is too thick or fat. So there is limited space right here. Make sure to not make it too thick, and this side at least needs to sit flush for it to insert correctly. And as for this power wire, it doesn't need to be a thick gauge. It doesn't require much power output, but I have it tapped inside there. So to get to the turn signal bulb and wiring, you basically just come over here. I like to move the wheel in a little bit so that we can have easier access right here. Pop this clip right here. Should be able to move over that cover and then come inside here. Take the turn signal bulb out, remove it, and to have easier access, I like to do it in the engine bay versus underneath here. It is really tough and really tight when you're working with the wires over here. You can remove the bulb on underneath, but it's a lot easier to work in the engine bay. I removed the battery and then checked out all the wiring inside right there. I'm going to show a picture of the wire that I tapped into. I think it's red and blue. That's pretty much it for the wiring. So now I got to clean up the wiring. This power wire is going to be tucked in through here underneath all this splash shield stuff and then tapped into the turn signal. As for the wiring right here, I'm not going to keep this setup because it's not really a reliable setup. The pins can bend or come out, so I'm going to cut this off and tap it into the wires right here. My wiring is a little jank. I'm going to spend a few extra minutes to tidy up and clean up. It is like this because I had to convert the turn signal bulb, so that's why it's all messy right here. But I'm going to spend a few extra minutes to clean it up, make it less jank, clean up these wires, and we'll see the final results. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can see, but see the little sequential relay box? I stuck it in there with double-sided tape, and it should be good there. And now we just gotta tuck the wire in and insert it. Damn guys, check it out. It looks so good. I'm so happy with this model. You got both sides working. Oh, it looks so good. Adds that little touch. I know the wiring can be improved. There's a few ways to go about it, but you know, I got the job done. I have a feeling that these LEDs kind of suck and they're gonna prematurely die on me. But they work. It cost me $0 and I'm really happy with the results. Thanks for watching guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.